Good morning. I'm meteorologist Kevin Smith here at the National Weather Service in Pocatello with your weather hazard briefing kicking off the weekend. This is Saturday, February 10th. Key points here for the next several days. First, we're going to give you a little bit of a gift here, a break between systems this weekend. High pressure is building into our region from the west, and this is going to provide a mostly dry, mostly sunny, fairly low impact weekend across southeast Idaho with very seasonable temperatures for this time of year. We'll need to watch out for a little bit of localized patchy fog, especially this morning, but not expecting that to be widespread. So most of you not seeing a problem with that either. The overall pattern is still a bit active, though. Maybe unsettled, better word for the weather here over the next several days, particularly as we go into next week. We are expecting light snow showers to begin to return to the forecast, at least in our mountain areas on Monday and Tuesday, and that'll continue throughout most of the rest of next week as well. Portions of the northern central mountains, particularly if you live up north of Stanley, north of the Chalice area, and also up into the Island Park region, expecting some of those snow showers to perhaps start creeping into the region Sunday evening. So really looking at fairly good conditions here over the course of Saturday and Sunday before we start to mix in a few of those light snow showers back into the picture here across portions of the forecast area. Breaking that down here in our weather risk outlook, you can see lots of greens and yellows. Again, we're leaning fairly low impact here over the next several days. Again, watch out for a little bit of isolated, localized, patchy morning fog here, just about anywhere, particularly in our lower elevations, our valleys, near bodies of water out in the Snake Plain, but not expecting that to be widespread today. There's a few snow showers lingering early this morning out there too. I'll talk about that in just a moment. As we step into Sunday, maybe an evening snow shower, again, trying to creep into the Island Park region up here in the Northeast Highlands, also up toward Stanley and Chalice in the Sawtooth area, particularly north of Stanley and Chalice, best chance, possibly up near Salmon as well. That high pressure that's in place this weekend will start to break down. We'll start to, as we say, flatten the ridge and start to bring a little bit of moisture over the top of that ridge as actually another storm system starts to work into the Pacific Northwest. So that's going to be our source of moisture here for this snow shower activity. And you can see we start to expand that chance of light snow showers as we step into Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of the new work week. All of this expected to be very light, generally not seeing a lot of activity down into the Snake Plain, the Magic Valley, or even the South Hills, at least for the first part of the week, but certainly across many of our mountain areas will start to increase that potential for light snow showers. This will be out of a couple different weather systems coming in. We have a shortwave trough coming into the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be followed by kind of another trough feature right behind it as we start to settle back into more of a low pressure regime. And I think as we get beyond this outlook, particularly into Thursday and Friday, we're going to see a better chance of a little bit more widespread, a little bit more impactful precipitation returning to the picture here across southeast Idaho. Satellite loop this morning, you can see some kind of blue shading here, particularly from the eastern Magic Valley and lower Snake Plain down into the southern highlands. Some of this is a little bit of low stratus, and some of it is actually associated with a few ongoing snow showers out there that are not being handled well by our high-resolution models. Always a tricky situation when we run into that. Here's a look at one of the webcams out there. This is down in Swan Lake on US 91. You can see falling snow here as of about 4:30 a.m. Not completely covering the road, and that's generally the flavor that we're seeing this morning. This is really light hit and miss snow shower activity. Hopefully not going to be terribly impactful for you, but if you are heading out this morning on the roadways, particularly early this morning, anywhere south of Pocatello, even down toward the Coldwater Rest area, wrapping around on I-84 down over Sweetser Summit, and then across the southern Highland region, Rockland, Malad, McCammon, down toward Preston, and even over to Georgetown Summit. Just be on the lookout for some of these snow showers. And certainly if you encounter any snow on the roadways, reduce those speeds and use your defensive winter driving practices. Looking at the region here, watches, warnings, and advisories. Only thing we have to worry about here locally is an avalanche warning that remains in effect early this morning up here for the Centennial Mountains, up toward the Island Park region. Some of that extends up into Montana as well. We're waiting to hear from the Avalanche Center whether or not that warning will be continued today or maybe allowed to expire this morning. But always be avalanche aware if you happen to be headed out into the backcountry or planning to do any skiing across our region this time of year. And here's a look at some of the spots that may be at risk of fog this morning. Again, not widespread, not expected to be a major issue for most of you, but certainly could see a few patches of fog out there this morning at lower elevations and in some of our valleys. Low temperatures as you head out this morning, pretty seasonable for this time of year and a little on the cool side compared to some of the temperatures we've seen over the past week and a half. You can see readings in the 20s here from the eastern Magic Valley into the lower Snake Plain, but we get colder conditions up into the single digits here across portions of the Central Mountains up into Island Park. So certainly dress appropriately for that this morning. High temperatures also very close to seasonable norms for this time of year, just a few degrees, perhaps colder than climatology. Here's our forecast for today over here on the left, getting up to just above freezing in the eastern Magic Valley and lower Snake Plain, but 20s, the rule of the day across many of our mountain areas and the upper Snake Plain. We gain perhaps a few degrees as we step over here to the right. These are your Sunday forecast high temperatures. Again, very normal for this time of year. And as we step into Monday and Tuesday, we trend just a degree or two warmer each day. You can see some 40s starting to creep in here across Shoshone, Twin Falls, Minidoka, Burley, probably not making it quite to Pocatello here for Monday. That's Monday's forecast here on the left, Tuesday's forecast here on the right. But we will see just a very slight warming trend as we head into the new week. But overall, you can see these temperatures are certainly still supportive of snow as our precipitation type for any of those light showers working into the region, particularly since we're not really looking at seeing any of that precipitation down here in the warmer eastern Magic Valley, at least until we get into the latter half of the week. Here's a quick look at snowfall amounts from today all the way out through Tuesday, and you can see very light forecast here, maybe a dusting to an inch or two as you get up into Island Park, and that includes the higher elevations here in the mountains up in that region. Not a lot of shading here on the map, but north of Stanley, north of Chalice, and up near Salmon could see at least a dusting of snow. Actually, up in this region, our probability of reaching 1 inch of snow is only 10%. So not looking at a lot of accumulation out of this initial moisture, at least through Tuesday. Again, once we get out toward the latter half of the week, Thursday, Friday timeframe, I think our chances of seeing more widespread, more impactful precipitation will increase, and we'll certainly be talking about that here in the days ahead. We'll wrap up taking a look here at the 8 to 14 day outlook. This is for precipitation, and the odds are favoring wetter than normal conditions continuing here across our region. And for temperature, maybe slightly warmer than normal conditions favored. And that's kind of the pattern that we've seen here over the past week or two with the kind of unsettled, wet-leaning, active pattern that we've been in. Certainly looks like that flavor will continue over the next 2 weeks here. Also, our current snow water equivalent, how are we doing on water supply? Green is good. When you see the green shading here in some of our river basins across the southern central mountains, that means we're within 10% of normal, either just a little above or a little below. And blue here across the south, this is a little more solidly above normal for this time of year for snow water equivalent, the amount of water that's locked in that snowpack up at higher elevations. So doing very well across the southern tier here, doing pretty well now, particularly after the snowfall we've seen over the past 2 weeks, doing much better here in the southern central mountains. But as you head northward and you start to see these yellows and these oranges, we are below normal for our liquid equivalent in the snowpack here. And this extends over into the Island Park region, the big holes as well. Generally running about 75 to 85% of normal. So still have some work to do up in this region. And that matches up well, as you see here, with the current drought conditions. We are abnormally dry in the yellow shading here across the northern part of our forecast area. And as you get up, particularly into Lemhi County and up toward Henry's Lake, actually getting into moderate drought conditions as we are lacking just a little bit of that water equivalent for this time of year. And that's what we're looking at here over the next week or so. Again, generally low impact this weekend, starting to mix in some snow shower activity next week. And I think the latter half of next week will be more active than what we'll see here over the next few days. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, of course, we're here 24/7 at the Weather Service in Pocatello. You can reach out to us via email, phone, our website, our social media listed here on the bottom of the slide. Everyone have a great weekend.